Hello, everyone. Today we are continuing with our coverage of Weird Tales, March 1923. Um, you know, there's a lot more of these than I thought there was going to be when I started this, but I'm having a ton of fun with it. And I hope you guys are as well. And you know, learning from these old stories. I like coming in before all of the genre conventions and modern ways that we tell stuff, and really going back to where a lot of modern storytelling really got started in these kind of pulp magazines. Like if you play Dungeons and Dragons, and like a lot of that stuff comes from like Conan the Barbarian and other pulp heroes. Superheroes were largely inspired by a lot of pulp heroes. I just think it's fascinating, and I really wish that we had stuff like this nowadays. Like somewhere where you could get like these smaller collections of stories that are more like sit down, read them, and it's like one and done. Nowadays, I feel like you get on like a streaming service or whatever, they're like, okay, now sit down and do this for the next 8 hours. Well, this is just like this one's only not very long. It's probably only gonna take me about 20 minutes to read the whole thing. But let's get started. That's just kind of like why I'm doing this whole thing. But anyway, this is a fantasy story with an odd twist at the end. Hark! The Rattle by Joel Townsley Rogers. I don't know what the rattle is, but we'll see. We sat in the Purple Lily, ta'en Dirk, that far too handsome young man, with me. I drank coffee, ta'en Dirk drank liquor, secretly and alone. The night was drenched with sweating summer heat, but I felt cold as ice. Presently we went up to the Palm Grove roof, where Bimmy Tao was to dance. These are some weird names. Tane, Bimmy. Who is this Bimmy Tailhammer? Bimmy's a woman? Dirk asked me, drumming his fingers. A woman? You're a queer one, Jerry Hammer, said Dirk, narrowing his cold yellow eyes. Queer just means strange in this like old-timey like space. Doesn't mean like gay or whatever. I mean, it probably, those connotations wouldn't have come up yet. Still, he drummed his blunt fingers, sharp tat tat tat. Something deep inside me, my liver perhaps, shivered and grew white at hearing that clearing sound. I didn't answer him right away. Slowly I sent up smoke rings to circle the huge stars. We sat in a cave of potted palms close by the dancing floor. Over us lay blue-black night, strange and deep. Yellow as roses were the splotches of stars swimming down the sky. It shows you've been away from New York, Dirk, if you don't know Rumi Tal. She's made herself more famous as a dancer than ever was Yin City. Some mystery is supposed to hang about her, and these simple children of New York love mysteries. So it's not even like they're foreign or anything. They're in New York. What kind of names are Bimmy, Hammer, Tane? These are weird names. I've been away 3 years, said Dirk sulkily, his eyes contracting. That long? It was 3 years ago when Yensity was killed. Well, asked Dirk, his finger drumming droned away. I thought you might have known her, Dirk. I? His wide, thin lips twitched. Why, Yensity was common to half New York. But once, I said, once it may be assumed that she was true to one man only, ta'en Dirk. I'm not interested in a woman, said Dirk. Okay, so he is. Dirk was the one calling Jerry queer. That was like him. He drank liquor only, secretly alone. I was interested in Yancity, Dirk. We used to talk together. She talked to you, repeated Dirk. Strange how she died. No trace, no one arrested, yet she'd had her lovers. Sometimes I think Dirk will find the beast who killed Yancey. Tame Dirk touched my wrist. His blunt fingers were cold and clammy, incomprehensible that women had loved his hands. Yet they were artist hands, and cold, and could mold and chisel. What clay, his hands. What makes you say that, Hammer? I looked up at the stars. It was a beast who killed Yancey, Dirk. Some vile snake with blood as cold as this lemon ice. Those marks of teeth on her upper arm, deep in, bringing blood. What madman killed that girl? Mad, I say. Dirk twisted. He wiped his brown forehead, on which sweat glistened in little beads like scales. Too hot a night to talk about such things, Hammer. Let's talk of something else. Tell me about this Bimmy Tal. You'll see her soon enough, I said, watching him. A girl of about your own age. You're not more than 24, are you? Born 1st January, 99. This would be 1899. And famous already? Yes, said Tame Dirk. I guess you've heard of me. Oh, I've heard lots of you, I said, and saw he didn't like it. You've heard I'm fast with women, eh? Said Dirk after a pause. But Yancey, why do you talk of her? Asked Dirk irritably. I never knew her. Those marks of teeth on Yancey's arms, 2 sharp canines, sharp and hooked, barely scratching the skin, like fangs of a snake, Dirk. Tame Dirk's hand crept to his lips, which were thin, red, and dry. The light in his eyes darkened from yellow to purple. Softly his blunt fingers began to drum his lips, tat, 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 but silent as a snake in grass. A curious thing about teeth, Dirk. You're a sculptor. Maybe you've observed it. A curious thing that no two are quite alike. We took prints, Dirk, of those marks in the arm of Yancey. Dirk's thin lips opened. His coarsely formed but marvelously sensitive fingers felt the hardness of his teeth. That gesture was sly. At once he knew I'd seen him. He crouched back in his chair, his strong, broad head drawn in between his shoulders. Who are you? He hissed. Again the clinging of his fingers, a dusty drumming. Why, I'm only Jerry Hammer, a wanderer and a soldier of bad fortune. Who are you? Brother of Stella Hammer, who was known as Yancey the dancer. Upon the Palm Grove roof, beneath those gigantic stars, the orchestra began to play a brass and cymbal tune. The air was hot. From far in the pit of the street rose up the noise of the city. Loud, discord shot with flames, I trembled. Tame Dirk's fingers drummed. His head commenced to sway. Bimmy Tal danced barefoot on the glazed umber tiles of the roof. Her dark red hair was free on her naked shoulders. Stamp, 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 her feet struck flatly on the tiles. Her head was bent back almost to the level of her waist. Bracelets jangled on her wrists and ankles. I am the daughter of the morning. I shout, I dance, I laugh away. Shaking her clump of red hair, her strong muscled limbs weaving, laughing at me with all her eyes, how like she looked to a man dead long years before. How like her glances to the glances of Red Roan. On her breast 2 glittering shields of spangles, about her wrist a kirtle seemingly woven of long strands of marsh grass, rustling, shivering with whispers, the sinews of her trunk and limbs rippled beneath her clear brown skin. The head of Tame Dirk swayed sideways, slowly. The drumming of his fingers on the table was a reiterative rattle. His eyes, liquid, subtle, dulled with a look near to stupidity, then blazed to golden fire. Thin and wide were his unsmiling lips. His tongue flicked them, tat, tat, tat. She's a beauty, whispered Dirk. His terrible eyes seemed to call Bimmy Tal as they called other women. Mesmerism, what was it? Singing sheep hands towards the den of potted palms where we were sitting. Her skirt rustled with the marsh like the marshes, wind of summer. Little searchlights playing colored lights on Bimmy Tal grew darker. Red and violet deepened to brown and green. Still the hot stars above us, in that artificial paper Palm Grove, with the silky, puffy women and the beefsteak guzzling men looking stupidly, was born the mystery of the great savannas. Dirk's head nodding, Dirk's thin lips slowly opening, Dirk's golden eyes glimmering, tat tat tat, Dirk's steady fingers. The great savannas and the tropic marshes, Bimital dancing. Stealthily the music softened from that brass and cymbal tune. It rustled, it crawled, it reared fanged heads. For a little while I did not see Bimital nor Dirk, but the steamy Everglades, winter noon, grass leaves silently by sea wind, puddles stirring at the roots of the grasses, silence booming like the loud silence of death. Bimital was dancing her snake dance. Dirk's lip quivered. The marsh winds makes a little stir. It is the whispering flute. The marsh waters make a little moan. It is the violin. Where was the soul of Bimital dwelling that tropic winter so many years ago? On her mother's breast a little bud of love crooned over with the song of sleep, or meshed in bleeding pinosetta. Oh dear. Sorry about that. I should have turned that off. Or meshed in bleeding pinosetta or rose. I don't know what. I assume it's a flower or a soul yet unborn. I close my eyes. The vision does not fade. Florida, the marshlands, winter noon, January's first day, 1899. Where was lovely Bimital on that stifling day we saw the famed thing coil, and death struck us there by Okeechobee? I have no idea. Your eyes, Bimital, are the laughing eyes of Red Roan. Now the snake dance, the piccolo screams, life immortal in your glistening lips, Bimital, in your deep bosom, promise of everlasting fecundity, passion and power of the earth. Life is immortal, your laughing eyes, Bimital, will never dull, yet I saw Red Roan die. Beneath the shooting lights, Bimital leaped and spun, scarcely treading the floor. Her eyes sparkled at me. She did not see tame Dirk. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Her bare feet struck the tiles, tightening the muscles of her calves. Her bangles rang. I could not keep my eyes from Dirk. His head, brown and golden, head swayed continually. His thin lips worked, and I caught the flash of his teeth. His eyes drowsed, then flashed open with sudden flame. Tat, tat, tat. The rattling of his fingers was never still. That swaying head. It was loaded with the wisdom of the serpent that hearkened to the wind, swaying with the marsh grass, winding its golden coils, curving its neck to the sun. Hark the rattle. Red is the sun. 2 men plow through the marshes. Oh, endless pain! The marsh viol quivers. A life struggles in the womb. Who will die, and what will die, that this new life may be born? Whimpering agony, and an old crone singing a song. All people who sat within the palm grove were hushed, watching Bimital. Fat hands fanning powdered breasts, silk handkerchief wiping ox necks, sweat beneath armpits, still heat, faraway thunder, the stars going by. Music swelled, beneath its discord the sounded a steady drumming rhythm. The arms of Bimital waved about her head. She shouted for joy of life. The pale eyes of Dirk, basking in mystery, gleamed into fire, blazing up in fury and hate undying. His dry lips opened. I saw his teeth. Through the breast-high grasses surged on the 2 marching men. Their brutes sought in the mock, softly strumming the bass viol. Something waiting in the marshes, something with golden eyes and swaying head. Hark the rattle. Beware, for death is in the path. Bimital was close to Dirk, not seeing him. She laughed and waved her jingling arms at me. Dirk's eyes sparkled with madness. His lips were tightened terribly. Bimital was almost over him, his fingers drumming. Louder played the music. Hark the rattle. Gaily the 2 men plow through the bladed grasses. The coiled thing waits, hate within its eyes. They are nearer. Drums begin to beat. In an avalanche of sound crashed a viol and violin and stammering drum. Dirk's drawn head lunged forward with his shoulders. His lips opened and lifted, venomous his look, deathly his intensity. Okay, so far, the story's kind of weird. It's just, there's this, sounds like, this Dirk guy is just a serial killer. Yeah, that's all that seems to be going on so far. And this page is green for some reason. I don't know why they would have done that. And it's just that page. I wonder if it's from a different scan or something. 55 over here. 54. 55. Back over here. 56. I don't know. I'm assuming this is... I don't know why it's green. Strong and young, fresh from the Cuban Wars, Red Roan and I went north from the Keys through the Everglades of Florida. Through the fens as in God's first day, through the reptile age, alive yet and crawling, through strangling vegetation which steams and rots beneath eternal suns, through the everlasting Everglades, with their fern and frond and sorrowful hoary cypress, Red Roan and I went north. Onwards with laughter, what joy lay in our hearts, we sang many songs. Fern and flower embraced in fecundity, grasses thick with sap, blossoms welding at a touch, mire teeming with creeping life, and above all, the gay sun. Beneath all, the coiling serpent, eyes and the opened fangs. Hark, the rattle. We sailed lagoons in crazy craft, dreamt on shady shores through sultry noons, shouted to the dead logs on river banks till they took fear and dived and splashed away. We pitched our tents by black waters. We beat brave trails through the fens. I'd like to stay here forever, said Red Roan. By that way I go, with what drinks I remember, in what beds I lay down I remember. You who got your prayer, Red Roan, you who are in the swamp, grass and swamp water forever. Beating our way slow and heavily at high noon of the New Year's first day in 1899, near Okeechobee in the marshes, came we to on a hidden hut. It was fashioned of the raft of the slow, dead fronds, rotting branches, and withered marsh grasses. Its sad gray-green were in the living wilderness, like a monument to death. Better the naked swamp, better the clean quagmire for bed. An old crone, moaning within that dreary hut, drowned out the sharp, short gasps of another woman. Red Roan came up singing, slapping his deep chest, swinging his muscular arms, sunlight on his brown face, the sunlight in his hair. At the hut's door, facing us, lounged a man with yellow eyes. Poor white trash. A gun was in his arm's crook. He spat tobacco juice at the earth. He was loathing murder venom in his face. Red Roan faltered back from that stare. He stopped short, and laughter left him. His brave eyes were troubled by that madman's hate. Yellow eyes staring. Eyes of a rattlesnake. An old Indian crone peered out beneath the crooked elbow of the ruffian in the doorway. She who had been dolorously singing. With a scream, she thrust out her skinny old arm, pointing at Red Roan. He dies! We want his soul! Another woman, hidden, moaning within the hut, a woman in her travail, new life from the wound. A life must die. I grasped the arm of Red Roan. Come away, I said. Come away from these mad witches. In 3 steps that gray-green hovel was hidden in the cypress, a dream it seemed, but we could yet hear the old witch woman singing. Something dragged at our heels, and it was not suction of the muck. Toe to heel, Red Roan paced me, and we sang a song together. A crimson flower, short-stemmed, yellow-hearted, was almost beneath my boot. I stopped. Who will not stop to pick a crimson wildflower? a rattling like the sharking of peas, a clearing like the drumming of a man's fingertip. Hark the rattle. A yawning head flashed beneath my hand, striking too low. Heavy as a head-flung stone, the snake's head struck my ankle, yawning gullet, white-hooked fangs of the deathly rattlesnake. Out of the crimson flower, the beast of golden brown, its yellow eyes flickering, its thin lips were dry. How near I had touched to death. Thank God for those heavy boots, Jerry. With blazing eyes, the snake withered, coiling for another strike, its sharp tail pointed upwards, vibrating continuously with dusty laughter. Its golden, rippling body was thick as my arm. Red Roan swung down his heavy marching stock. Crash! Its leaden head struck the lunging mottled head, halted in mid-strike. That evil wisdom splattered like an egg, brain pan ripping wide. The rattler lashed in its last agony, its tremendous muscular tail beating the ground with thumb blows, its yellow eyes still blazing with hate, but closing fast in doom. I tried to say, "Thanks, Red." Some mesmerism in those yellow, dying eyes. Shaking with disgust, Red Roan bent down above that foul-fenned watcher, put down his hand to pick up that stricken sin over whose eyes thin eye membranes already lowered in death. "Don't touch it, Red. Wait till the sun goes down. Hark the rattle." Those opaque eyes shuddered back. Those yellow glances, though in mortal pain, were still furious and glistening. Those bony tail bells clattering. Fangs in that shattered, insensate head yawned, closing in Red Roan's arm above the wrist. I see him, sweat upon his brow, broad brown forehead, his laughing eyes astounding, his thick, strong body shivering, wind stirring up his dark red hair. Behind him the brown-green marshes, grasses rippling, a stir going through their depths. His cheeks had never been so red. Before I could move, he unlocked those jaws and hollow fangs, gripped hard in his arms with mortal rigor. He shivered now from the knees. His face went white. "Cut," he whispered. "I'll sit down." With the hunting knife, I slashed his arm. Deep driving 4 crossed cuts, he laughed and tried to shout. Howling would have been more pleasant. I sucked those wounds, out of which slow blood was spouting from an artery. We panted now, both of us. He leaned heavily on my shoulder, he the strong, I bound his arm, my own fingers so numb I fumbled at the work. Sweat on Red Roan's face was cold, and cold his wrist. My arms clung about him. He swayed, almost toppling, climbing in grass stems with fading laughter. I picked up his marching stock and beat that golden, gory thing with the mire. Beat it till clay-white flesh and bone and skin were one with the mucky mire of the swamp, but with its heart embedded with deep purple pulsing, a smashing blow, and that, too, died. "It's over." Grimly, I flung the bloody stave into the swaying grass. "Yes, Jerry," whispered Red Roan, "it's nearly over." I could not believe it. Red Roan, the strong man, the shouter, the singer, the gay-hearted lover, its death then, so much stronger than life. "A woman, Jerry, in Havana, Dolores, she dances." "For God's sake, Red, wake up." "Dances at the Red Roan. I'm here, boy." Out from the way whence we had come, faintly I heard a cry. Who wept thus for the soul departed, saying paean for the dead? Was it wind over the stagnant grasses? Frail in the solitude rose that wail again, the whimper of new-born life. In the squatter's hut this child had found its soul. "Dolores," whispered Red Roan. Beneath the brazen sky he whispered the name of love. "Dolores." Past 100 miles of swamp, past 100 miles of sea, Dolores the dancer, hear him calling her. Dolores, I hoped she heard, for he was a good lad, though wild. With a throat strangled and sobbed, I sang it to Red Roan. His eyes were closed, yet he heard me. old campaign songs, songs of the march, and the bivouac, I don't know, marches tunes. Then he whispered for a lullaby, and last of all, for a drinking song. Bimmy Tall had danced up to us. Bimmy Tall, daughter of Red Roan and of Dolores, the dancer. She laughed and tossed her dark red hair. Her broad nostrils sucked in the hot night wind. I am the daughter of the morning. I shout, I dance, I laugh away. Follow, lover, hear my warnings. I, the laughter, do not stay. Stamp, 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 her body rippled. She cast her eyes at me. Tane Dirk's head was rising. His thin, dry, red lips opened wide. His golden eyes burned with undying hate. Tat, 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 his fingers drummed. In a minute, Jerry, whispered Bimmy Tal, not pausing from her dance. Her lovely eyes looked downward, seeing Dirk. She screamed. The music silenced. She struck her arm at him, not knowing what she did. Mad. The man was mad. His jaw was open wide. He bit her arm above the wrist. Before the rush of frantic people had fallen over us, I struck his venomous face. With both fists, blow on blow, blood came from form. It's F-O-R-M, form. Shouldn't it be from? I don't know. His damned lips. What madness had seized him, I don't know. Luckily, it was memory surging back through dead life. The venom of that rattler, hate undying. But of that, who can say? A strange thing is memory. Yet I know for sure that to him, the mad sculptor, born in that hut, in that hot avalanche, had passed the soul of the dying rattlesnake. Hands dragged me back from him. I shouted and tore. He quivered, wounded heavily. His nervous fingers clattered on the table, drumming with powerful music. Police came in. Look, I shouted to them. Look at those marks of teeth on Bimmy Tal's wrist. 2-date fangs. That's the man who killed Yancity, the dancer. Okay, that was weirdly told. Like, I don't think it was bad. But it was weird for sure. So, with the weird, it's going back between the flashbacks, and then there's a lot of extra flowery language that makes it a little bit more confusing. But it sounds like, this dude and his old friend gets bit by a rattlesnake, and then he killed the rattlesnake. The rattlesnake's soul got reborn and then tried to bite the guy that the rattlesnake had killed, the reborn rattlesnake in the dude killed 2 dancers. Okay, sure. Not the best, but they're not all going to be winners. Like, the witches just kind of felt random, I think it would have been better if it was just like a parallel, like saying you got to be careful because some men are like rattlesnakes, rather than having it literally be a dude with the soul of a rattlesnake, who was the same rattlesnake that killed the lady's dad. Like, that's a bit convoluted, don't you think? Anyway, I don't know. Not my favorite, but it's there. But I'll cut it off here. If you got to the end of this, like, comment, and subscribe. Not all of them are going to be winners, but we can't just pick the winners. We're going through all of them. That's otherwise. What's the point? If I only wanted to read the stuff that I knew was going to be good beforehand, I would just go find collections or recommendation lists. But no, I just go and read the whole thing. So you find out for yourself what's good and what's not. Next we got Jungle Death by Artemis Calloway. I'll read that next time. Oh, that's in... Oh, that's the next one. The next one's the Ghost Guard. Anyway, if you got to the end of this, like, comment, subscribe. Tune in tomorrow for the next one, which will be The Ghost Guard by Brian Irving. So yeah, look forward to it. Anyway, I'll see you there, and bye.